In the news this week, the coalition crushed Labor with miracle win under Scott Morrison.
Opposition leader Bill Shorten to quit as party leader following the stunning election defeat.
A roundtable was called to address violent issues within WA hospitals.
And significant arrests were made by WA police after separate drug seizures.
This is the Evening News with Ivan Leung and Danielle Staniskov.
Good evening. It's been dubbed as a miracle for Scott Morrison as the coalition managed to secure more seats than the Labor opposition in spite of the rise in independent candidates. Although the ruling LNP managed to secure a slim majority, former Prime Minister Tony Abbott has lost his seat. Nelson Liu begins our coverage.
The polls claimed the Liberals didn't have a chance, but Scott Morrison said,
"I have always believed in miracles."
He declared victory late on Saturday night after opposition leader Bill Shorten conceded defeat.
Oh, Mr. Shorten contacted me, and I thank him. I thank him very much in the spirit in which he made that call.
In his victory speech, he says the win was for hard-working Australians.
Tonight is about every single Australian who depends on their government to put them first.
And he'll continue to dedicate himself to Australians across the country.
Scott Morrison says it's right back to work following the win, but it's also success for other Liberal members around the nation.
In WA, a number of Liberal candidates retained their seats, including Hasluck's Ken Wyatt.
What really made me have a warm sense of feeling was the number who came up to me and said, "I voted for you, but I want to thank you."
But former Prime Minister Tony Abbott was unlucky, losing his electorate of Warringah.
It's sad for Tony.
A number of undecided seats will determine if the Liberal Party will govern in its own right. Nelson Liu, WAMN News.
Federal Labor leader Bill Shorten announced that he's quitting his position after failing to lead the party to win government. Despite his best efforts aiming to become Australia's Prime Minister in the past 6 years, history says it was not to be. As Vesha Rumagam reports, it just wasn't a lucky day for the Labor Party.
Nail-biting, sweat-dripping, watching as the election results coming out. Labour lost to 8 seats less to its contested Liberal. Outgoing Labour leader Bill Shorten said it's obvious that Labour will not form the next government.
Falling down is not our challenge. Standing up again is our mark. Leave here knowing that we've argued for the future and our time will come.
Opinion polls have made the election all Labour, but it has not been in the party's favour since the counting began. Elected electorate for Brent, Madeleine King, said she's thrilled about her retention in the seat once again.
I was very hopeful, but, we can't take any votes for granted. So, I keep working hard and I speak to all the people I can across Rockingham and Quinata. So, I think that effort paid off and I'm really grateful for the support that I got from the people of Brant.
Beating all the odds, Australia has made its call and now it's time the elected government stayed true to delivering their promises. Vaish Armugam, WAMN News.
Following the news of former Prime Minister Bob Hawke's passing, Labor MPs are remembering him not only as a great leader, but also a great Australian. Premier Mark McGowan said he was a unique political figure combining popularity with compassion, kindness and economic reform. Mr. McGowan, while sombre in sharing his memories of Mr. Hawke, they still managed to bring a smile to his face. The last time he saw Mr. Hawke was back in November 2018 as he visited his home in Sydney.
He was brilliant, but he was one of us. He wasn't superior. He didn't think he was better. He wanted to serve. He's the sort of bloke who could have gone and run a corporation or become a high-paid barrister or something like that. Instead, he decided to become a union leader and a politician and serve the people of the country. And I think people respected and appreciated that.
An urgent roundtable meeting will be held in discussion of violence against hospital staff with hopes to increase security measures and safety standards. This comes after a nurse was stabbed at Royal Perth Hospital last Sunday by a man who had earlier been arrested by police. The Australian Nursing Federation WA Secretary Mark Olsen expressed his grievances with the Health Minister and wants changes to be made sooner rather than later. The government is being called upon to give security guards more powers within hospitals to enforce the standards of public safety that we all expect.
We've got concerns. They had concerns about this fellow who attacked the nurse last week, on the weekend. They had concerns about him, but they had nobody to call. So we need to fill that gap, and we need to fill that gap pretty damn soon.
WA police have arrested 5 men after seizing 59 kilograms of methamphetamine in Perth. The organised crime squad seized the drugs as part of investigations across the metropolitan region in the past week, seizing the drugs which have a street value of about $59 million. 5 men were charged with serious drug offences and are facing court trials. Police Minister Michelle Roberts says WA police did a good job in taking the drugs off WA streets.
So this is an extensive investigation into an Australian-based organised crime syndicate. I'm very thankful that the organised crime squad and our meth teams are concentrating on the right level of organised crime syndicates to remove this amount of methamphetamine off the street.
Taiwan has become the first place in Asia to legalise same-sex marriage after the legislation passed the Legislative Assembly. After a tussle between ruling party DPP and the Conservative members, the bill was passed and it will come into effect on 24th of May. Back in 2017, a controversial referendum was held with a reported 67% citizens voted against same-sex marriage. North Korea is demanding its cargo ship to be released after it was seized by the United States last week, calling the actions as unlawful. It's the second time the boat was detained after it was caught for allegedly violating international sanctions. It comes at the time when denuclearization talks between the United States and North Korea failed earlier this year.
NASA has announced next chapter in human space exploration with aims to stay on the moon by 2024. The mission is named Artemis after the Greek goddess of the moon and will see astronauts using resources on the moon to support life and overcome extreme environments like never before. The mission will make international history as NASA plans to put its first female astronaut on the moon.
And that's our news for this week. We have the latest news on our website and Facebook page.
Until next Sunday after 8. Good evening.
Good night.